What's up, Picklebrains? This pod we're going to talk about what it's like playing with a pro and the difference between amateur and pro level. And I think the best way to do that is to talk about your weekend, Ost, and who you played with, and what are some of the differences that you see. So stick around.
This weekend I played in the pro qualifier and I played with Tyler Miller in men's dubs and I played with Avery Beck in mixed. And with Tyler, we had to win 3 matches because it was both our very first pro tournament that we've ever done. And you have to have PPA points in order to rank at all. And so we obviously have 0 PPA points. So we had to win 3 matches to make it into the actual pro division.
Yeah, not like 3 out of 5 or anything like that. 3 matches in a row, you lose one, you're gone. Yeah. I mean, you're starting at the very bottom of pro.
Yeah. And the players in these brackets are like really good players. Like Chuck Taylor's in there and stuff like that. Yeah. We didn't play Chuck, thankfully. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had to win 3 matches and we ended up losing the very first one, which sucked. We actually lost in the 3rd game 11-13.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, we were up 11-10.
You lost the first game.
11-0.
Then you came back. Yeah, you got pickled the first game. Then you came back and won pretty handily, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was just
I feel like it was strategy. Like 11-3.
11-2.
And then what happened the 3rd game?
In the 3rd game, we could not execute. And it's just because like we couldn't execute on our strategy, which was to just go to this other guy who was definitely the weaker player. And so we did that in the beginning and we kind of got a lead. And then the wind really picked up and we couldn't get it onto his side because the wind was blowing opposite direction. It was blowing to the guy that was on the left side of the court. We were trying to get it to the guy on the right side of the court. Everything was just going to the guy on the right side over and over and over again. And then they changed up their strategy too, to where instead of him challenging me head on, because it was the weaker player directly in front of me, and it was just hand battle after hand battle that I would just win over and over again. That's why it was 11-2 the 2nd game. He then started putting all of his shots at my partner, Tyler, cross court, because he has way more court and he could keep it down.
Yeah.
And then it turned into this dink battle where Tyler's dinking against the wind, this guy's dinking with the wind, and then yeah. Anyways, so that game was a whole lot closer.
And he's also, so Tyler is left-handed.
Yeah.
I would assume he's dinking to, one point to make, is he's dinking to Tyler's backhand, I would assume. So that's one thing. What's nice is being on that right side, a left-hander has their forehand right in the middle, which is great. But then also, if they're not as comfortable on that backhand side, every dink is to their backhand. And if someone cross-court is dinking to them, that's just their forehand. I assume they were right-handed.
Yes.
The person that was hitting to them. So
it's forehand versus backhand, essentially.
You can find a way to win.
But we were up 11-10, and I countered a backhand, and then they re-countered, and I countered it again last second. It was going way out, just way out. And I'm like, last second I reached out, and I just muffed it in the net. And all I had to do was just not hit it. We would have made it to the next round. But, yeah, it was just, like, I feel like wind, nobody should have it as an excuse, but I do feel like wind really equals out the level for everybody. I think it brings everybody's level pretty
either up
similarly.
Or down. Yeah.
I just feel like it makes everybody's level pretty similar. And that's kind of what happened, just because we couldn't target the weaker player with the wind. Like, it totally took that away, essentially, halfway through that game. We still should have pulled it out, but yeah. And then
first time playing pro. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I wish I could have done better. It was pretty disappointing because you feel like you're better than the players, but that's what you hear. Even at like the 3-5 level, people are like, we were better than them, but we lost first round. We went 0-2.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what happens your first time, I feel like, unless you're Collin Shick.
And just go through to the gold medal match.
Yeah. Dude's incredible. But had some drilling with Collin Shick.
Wait, talk to us about mixed.
Oh yeah, mixed.
Mixed
then we'll
pro.
talk about Collin. Mixed pro, played with Avery. This was a heartbreaker. our first round, we just won pretty handily. I think it was 11-0, 11-3. No problem at all. And then we got into the second round and we got pickled. Like, so there were so many pickles just because it was windy.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like,
yeah. No, that is such a good
pickle,
point.
And then it would flip over and we would pickle them the next game because it depended on what side you were on.
It's the wind, yeah, for sure.
So we lost 0-11 and then we won 11-2. Yeah. No, 11-5. Then we won 11-5. And then we go back to the bad side again. And we're outplaying them, but literally 4 net balls that they hit and won the point, and then they got the changeover first to 6. But now we're on the good side, and we're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Like we'll just close this out. And they were up 6-2 on the changeover, maybe 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
And then just couldn't get any rhythm, didn't go anywhere. What kept happening is the other girl was a lefty. She would dink her backhand to Avery's forehand and just like brutally move her off the court until the guy got a pop up in the middle and put it away. I feel like that happened a ton and I didn't insert myself enough, but it was a good experience. I just feel like I learned a lot and what I want to do next time, if there is a next time. I don't really want to travel necessarily, but if there's one close by, I feel like I learned a lot for it. But it was super fun playing with Avery. We should have won. Didn't win. Like the team that we played,
And you guys needed to win just 2 matches in mixed to make it 2? Yeah.
Yeah, so
you were almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah.
And the team that we played, they've played pro so many times. And then I don't know how they do in pro, but
I watched the team that beat you, then went on to beat Johnny Goldberg and his wife, Regina
I don't even know.
Goldberg. And they're both
Are they good?
very solid players who've been playing for years all the time. So
We should have beat them, but next one.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, and then before this, you got invited to play with some of the pros who needed to warm up before their games or just warm up for the week. First one was Collin Shick.
Yeah, Dr. Shick and me. And so we showed up at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It was blazing hot, like the hottest day that it was here. We drilled for an hour, 30 minutes or so. Just learned a ton, videoed it. I'll come out with a YouTube video with it. And we played singles and he slapped me. It wasn't even fun. Like actually it was really fun, but it was just crazy to see his level. Because you hit 4 winners and he gets to all of them, but also he's cutting under the ball and it puts just crazy spin on the ball, so then you miss. So that was interesting. But we drilled and he taught me his 2-handed backhand dink, and he has the best, like we didn't even mention him in our last pod about if we would take his dink or his drop.
Backhand topspin dink.
Yeah, backhand topspin dink.
Yeah.
The nastiest, because you don't know where he's going with it because he's open stance. So he's always facing towards the net when he hits it, and then he'll pop his shoulder, and he was teaching me it. But he'll pop his shoulder as if he's going down the line, and then he'll rip it back cross court, or he'll pop his shoulder and actually go down the line. So you just have no idea where he's going, whereas other players will close their body completely. They'll take that step with their dominant foot, and then they'll hit the shot. So he was teaching me that, and it's the same exact thing with his drop. But essentially, it's just keeping it all out in front of you the entire time, which was really interesting. And now I feel like I can't miss a 2-handed backhand topspin drop after doing that. I still have to work on that dink, though. He is so wristy with it, and it's just straight left hand. But he has the best. And I was talking to the other pros that I played with, and they all said Collin's the best. I was asking them about like Connor Garnett, and I was asking them about James Ignatowicz. They said, no, Collins is toughest. And I saw it today. Like I watched Collin and Jack play against Federico and Pablo. And Federico was popping it up. Like they would not dink to Collin whenever he was on the left, because Fed would pop it up because of all of that spin.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Then we played for another couple of hours, some rec games, learned a ton. And then I threw up 7 times because I was so dehydrated. But I was just so amped to play with
I
Collin
didn't
that I
know
was just
that.
sticking it out. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I'd
hydrated.
stick it out too as much as I could. No, that's a fun opportunity. So tell us then, Oz, the difference between like a lot of people, anyone listening right now, anyone watching right now, I know you've had this thought before. Don't lie to yourself because I've had this thought too. We're watching pro pickleball for the first time, whether it's in person or we're watching it on the live stream, whatever. And we see these players play and we're like, I could
Yeah,
probably do that. Like, I feel like I could beat them. They're not doing anything special.
so
Like,
common.
I think I can do that. And then you actually play against them, which now you've had opportunities to play against them, which you've played with some pros before this. But you realize that there is a big jump in levels. And
Yeah.
it's not as easy as it looks. I'm sure there's even someone watching right now and listening to me and they're like, nah, it's easy. If you come from tennis, it's easy.
Yeah,
You guys,
no
this is
chance.
just an old people
It's
sport.
just totally
But,
different.
but it's not. There's a reason that the top players continue to win over and over. There is a big difference in skill level and consistency. But what are some of the key differences do you think you saw with Collin? And then we can talk about that you also saw with others that you've practiced with.
I would say power, spin, and consistency is the biggest difference.
Okay.
Because when they smack the ball, they put it away because of the amount of power that they have. It's just the point's instantly over. But then when you're playing with other pros, they get that shot. So they'll get it back. And that's just simply because they've played with other pros. And they're playing with other pros consistently. And so like what I would say is anybody out there that can go and like no pro would want to do this, but if you could somehow go train with a pro for 2 months or so, or pros, and just play with them consistently for 2 months, like you're going to improve loads and you'll be able to play pro, I think. I mean, I feel like I would because I'm in between that 5.5 and 6.0 level right now.
Yeah, I
Like,
think you need to be
just playing with
somewhere
them.
there. I think you need to be at least above 5.0 before you're going to get to that pro level that fast,
But
in
just,
my opinion.
yeah,
But,
I agree. Just playing with those pros is what's going to do it.
and we've talked about on the pod tons of times, even if you have to pay somebody that's better than you, you know, you always talk about wanting to play with the 5.0 group. That's not good practice for them, so why would they take the time? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But you do want to get those reps in and work your way up. So maybe you play with the 4.0s and start to work your way up to 4.5 and then play with 5.0s. But I do think the more reps you can get, and then with pros too, you're like, oh, this is another step up. This is a completely different level. If I could play with these guys consistently.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they
what
all
it is.
move by
Right
each
next to
other.
each other. They're all
Like
in
they have
Texas
the
or California.
yeah, or they have the Florida section of guys, or the Texas section of guys, or the Cali section of guys and females that all play together and they seem to get better, and those are the people with consistent results.
Yeah. So it's kind of frustrating. I just wish that there were like just a few pros here. There used to be pros here, but it's like there's no reason that I should be the best here in Southern Utah.
Yeah.
Like there should be 20 people ahead of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then I played with Allyce Jones, Tyra Hurricane Black, and Etta Wright. Etta was my partner because Allyce and Tyra were playing together. I don't even know how they did. Did you look
And
it
they
up?
wanted to get some reps in. I didn't find the results here,
Okay.
but they were doing well when I watched.
Yeah, when I watched live.
I'm gonna look it up for a second while you talk about it.
But playing with them was so fun. Like, just because it was all high level, everybody there is good and consistent, and they're all playing every day. And it's like I'm the odd man out, is what it felt like. And it's like, I don't know. It's just so much that I learned. And so moving on to consistency. So first power, but then consistency. These girls just keep in the ball so consistently. But like you'll hit an overhead at them and they're just getting balls that you're hitting directly at their feet. And getting, especially Etta, my partner. Like I would pop up a ball, just a total cupcake.
Yeah.
And they'd slam an overhead and Etta's just everywhere getting it. And her timing's perfect. Every shot, she's swinging through her motion, which is what you would do at the pro level, not at the beginner level.
Right.
Like beginner level, you just want to lightly touch the ball. Pro level, your timing is so impeccable that you can literally get away with just
which is tough.
swinging through.
Yeah. We would suggest for anyone that's beginner or intermediate, and I still do this too with a lot of my shots. I try to keep them as compact as I possibly can. Any extra movement is too much of a risk, right? But as you get better, you learn, well, at the beginner level, you learn don't use your wrist at all. Don't ever use your wrist because you're going to mess up. And then as you get better, you start to learn, hey, I'm using a little bit more wrist. It's starting to work, starting to be more consistent. And then you get pros like Collin Shick and others that are using full wrist all over the place. Or, yeah, like you said, full swings, but still being consistent. And, yeah, it's just a levels thing.
Yeah, you can't skip it. You have to start with short and compact.
Yeah.
It should always be compact, but you have to start with short motions where you're just going under the ball, and then it'll slowly turn into a little bit of topspin, a little bit of underspin until it's comfortable, where you're at the 5-0 level and you can consistently, I'd say that's where it would be at, consistently hit topspin and stuff. But that was really fun. I'm going to do a YouTube video. I already videoed it, obviously, but it's just going to be a gameplay analysis with those girls.
Yeah, that's fun. Tell me what you said about Etta. Like, you feel like, and I'm sure anyone would feel this way, if you had her for your partner.
Yeah. It's crazy, because if I had her for my partner, I feel like I could just take out anybody.
Yeah.
Just because she doesn't miss.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Like, I would need 2 months to just train with pros. Give me 2 months, and then Etta Wright as my partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could do some serious damage.
Yeah, or at least beat the majority. Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it.
I'm not saying we're going to take out Ben and Anna Lee by any means, but I'm saying I feel like we could like make it to the quarterfinals.
Some serious damage, yeah.
Pretty easily. So, yeah, it's interesting to see the levels between these girls, too, because Etta's definitely up there. And then these other girls are still, like, so incredible, but
not quite there.
They're not quite at Etta's level.
And Ben knows who to pick when he needs a partner, too.
Yeah, that's who he's playing with. So
yeah, he can see that. And obviously they're playing for gold tomorrow. By the time this podcast comes out, this will have already happened.
I'm guessing they got gold.
But
yeah, so who are they playing? I have no idea.
Etta Wright and
I knew that.
And James Ignatowicz.
I know, but what about for men's?
Okay. So for men's, this isn't a spoiler because by the time this pod comes out, we'll be good, right? So Andre Daescu is playing with Tardio again this tournament.
And they're in the final?
And they are in the final.
I didn't see him at all today.
And they beat the Johns to get there.
Oh, they did? Again?
Yeah, beat him again. So Ben Johns and Collin Johns are playing Tyson and Deckel for bronze. And Dylan and JW are playing Daescu and Tardio for gold tomorrow.
Yeah, Dylan and JW are winning for sure.
I think so too. They have their number. Anytime they've played, they just played again. I feel like they just played again in Florida, U.S. Open or whatever that's called. They've played an APP before, and it's usually Dylan and JW. But so I have
I wish I would have watched that.
I have a story to share. So this weekend, I don't live in St. George. I may be living here soon, but we came just for the weekend, me and my family, and we happened to get an Airbnb last minute, and we pull up to the Airbnb. I've told you this, obviously, but just letting everyone know, we pull up to the Airbnb, and there's some people outside in the Airbnb adjacent to ours. Like, they're literally connected. And there's some people outside, and my oldest son goes, "Hey, Dad, there's Ben Johns." I thought he was just messing with me, because he knows I'm a pickle nerd. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I look over, and it's Ben Johns.
That's just crazy.
And he's staying in the place next to me, and a lot of the pros are staying there. But anyway, tonight in the spa when we went to the spa.
Tonight as well?
Well, we went to the spa the other night. Austin came also with his son so that they could hang out in our pool or whatever at the Airbnb. And Ben happened to be in there with his team, and they were just hanging out in the hot tub. And so now tonight, after the loss, he wasn't there in the spa, but his team was in there.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, guys, I got a question. And they're a little bit weirded out, you know? And then the one guy's like, all right, shoot. Because it's his doctor and then the other guy that's there with him.
His friend or whatever.
I don't know if he's there for emotional support or what. He's like, all right, shoot. I was like, I didn't see the match. I just looked up the score. But what happened in the third game? So...
What was the score?
So I'm going to read the scores right now so you can see the scores, okay?
It's just lopsided?
And this will...
It must have been Wendy's crap.
Everything will make sense.
Lopsided.
Like, I feel like the win might have had something to do with it, but I'll tell you what their answer was.
Okay.
So first game, the Johns won against Andre and Tardio 11-1. Okay, first game. So you think, all right, this is probably going to be a blowout.
That's insane.
Second game, Diascu and Tardio come back and win 13-11.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so by the skin of their teeth, they could have been out.
At
least I'm looking from the score. Third game, the Johns boys get pickled 11-0. So I was like, what? I didn't get to watch. I'm going to go back and watch this, but I didn't get to watch what happened in the third game.
That's amazing.
I'm asking his team, and they're like, well, we've been sitting in the spa for the past hour trying to figure out the same. He's like, we've been talking back and forth about this too. We're not really sure.
Wait,
he said...
It was 11-1 the first game? Or 11-0?
Yeah, it was 1-11 the first game. And then 13-11, and then 11-0, man. 11-0. So they didn't mention the wind. They said they couldn't quite figure it out. And they just said, you know, to keep it simple, because they were about to get out. They were leaving. They were like, to keep it simple, Andre and Tardio played the best they could have played. And Ben and Collin just weren't quite there.
Right.
Which is so weird for them. You just think they're going to dominate. So that's 2 times in a row now that they've beat them. Last time they got gold. So maybe they'll go into this one with a lot of confidence. I don't know why I should go for Diascu and Tardio, but I still think Dylan and JW have their number and they'll get gold.
When they took out Ben and Collin, didn't they get second to JW and Dylan?
That's what I remember. They played them in the final and got gold because he got 2 golds that weekend. Oh, no, that's not true. Weekend. That was a different weekend when he played with Matt Wright.
Yes.
You're right about that.
I'm pretty sure they lost to Dylan and JW. And Dylan and JW just played a similar game to the Johnses, but I don't know. I don't know what's different. I feel like they both probably have quicker hand speed, like quicker reaction time.
Yeah.
As a team.
Yeah.
Like Dylan's insane.
They're both looking
JW's
great.
The most insane.
Look really good in person too. I didn't get to go to the tournament. I had a bunch of stuff going. The plan was to go, but Dylan and JW were staying at the Airbnb too, and there's a pickleball court there, and they were warming up on it with each other. So that was Anyway, that
when
was
Ben
really
came,
fun.
I was at the pool with Spencer the other day or last night. Yeah,
last night. Yeah,
and Ben came out with his posse, and I was just looking at Spencer, and I was just like, "What's pickleball?" Like zero chance we're telling this dude in this spa right now that we know who he is. I was just like, don't make eye contact and let's just continue on a conversation. And then we had nothing to talk about because all we talk about is pickleball.
Yeah, because we can sit and stare at each other, but what else are we going to talk about?
And it's weird talking about pickleball in front of Ben without, like, how do you introduce that? Like, if we're just talking about pickleball, obviously he knows we know who he is, so then it's awkward. So it's like, let's just stay silent.
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to talk about pickleball anyway. He probably wants to talk about Fortnite or something else.
Yeah.
Which I don't know anything about. Last story. So tonight, we're at the Airbnb, and my son has been begging me for like 24 hours. This is my 7-year-old. He really wants Ben to sign something.
Oh, cool.
Since last night, he's asking me. I'm like, why didn't you ask him while we were out there at the pool? He would have done it for you, you know? And he was just nervous. And so I said, yeah, if you see him again, then you can. And we haven't seen him there since. We'll probably see him in the morning because he's going to play for bronze and he's going to play for gold and mixed. We'll probably see him in the morning and he can do it then. But anyway, he just kept asking and asking. So finally, we just let him go to his door. I mean, it's literally right next door. Okay. And so he went over and knocked, but he wasn't home. So maybe he'll see
That's
him
cool,
in the
he
morning
knocked.
and he can do it there. But he finally has enough courage to talk
That was
to him.
awesome. That's awesome. What a stud. Yeah, yesterday in the tub, in the hot tub, he was like, Austin, look behind you.
Yeah.
Because how do you bring that up? Like, I
Yeah,
feel like
it
you
was kind
explicitly
of
have to
awkward.
say, hey, just so you know, like, we know what pickleball is. Okay?
Yeah.
So what we're...
Yeah. It's just a little bit awkward, but
It's just a weird thing. People listening are going to be like, why don't you just say hello to him? Because I feel like 1,000 people a week, like, you can watch him walk and just loads of people come up to him and talk to him. I just don't want to bother him, but...
yeah.
Anyways,
So I am too.
that was a long pod. That was longer than we anticipated.
No, that was good though. I like learning, and hopefully other people have learned. There is a big difference between pro and amateur, and there's also a big difference between high level amateur and a lower level amateur. But keep working at it, and you can slowly work your way up. Don't skip the steps.
Yeah, you can't skip.
You know, and just slowly work your way up. I think that's the best way to do it.
And if you're a group
You
of
can get
pros that are planning to move somewhere,
yeah, move to St. George,
please. I'd love some. I'd love like just having pros here. Like just having the pros here whenever they leave during Red Rock feels like a part of me leaves.
Yeah.
Like I just feel saddened, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it'd be so awesome to just play in a group with you guys once a week.
Yeah.
And just get crazy good.
It's like gotta wait another year really.
Yeah.
Until they're here again.
Another year at 5-0.
Yeah. Anyway, if you found this helpful, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on Spotify or listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a follow, and we will see you next week. Later.
Peace.